Hello, welcome back to our channel, American Ultra Stock. Here we are. If you're new to the channel, this is the first time you come across our channel, please leave a like and subscribe if you can at some point in the video if you enjoyed the content, obviously. Now, we're bringing to you guys a video with our prediction for the Nations League. It's right around the corner, last bit of preparation before Copa America, really meaningful window. And here we are, Braden. Who do you think are the guys that are qualified enough to push us through and get us to the final? Although we are facing a significantly worse Jamaica than I thought we would. Who would you start?
Yeah, just getting straight into it. I think this game is going to be less challenging than we initially thought due to the omissions that Jamaica has. But just for an initial lineup that I would put out, I think it's slightly unorthodox. There's going to be some picks that I think a lot of you guys will probably disagree with, but I'll make my case. In goal, I'm going to start, like I said, with one of those. I'm going to start Ethan Horvath here because I think Turner, we've been punishing some of the players we saw with the initial roster. Some players have been punished due to being out of form or not playing at club level, omitted from the team. Two of those players, or one of those players, Brendan Aronson, was later added to the roster after an incredible game and some injuries to Luca Della Torre and Josh Sargent. But I think we need to start punishing some of our more key players because Matt Turner has been horrible this season for Nottingham Forest. When he has played, he's now a firm backup for them behind, honestly, another bad goalkeeper. Sells isn't anything special. Lacodimos, who's now the third choice, also isn't any good. And I know it says a lot maybe that Horvath got kicked out of that club due to the fact that there's three bad goalkeepers there, but I honestly don't think they gave him a proper chance. He was never even included in their Premier League roster to start the season. I think he has his fresh start now at Cardiff City, and he's definitely in better form. He's playing, and honestly, Turner his mistakes have started to slip into the national team. We saw it against Trinidad and Tobago in the second leg. He really could have done a lot better, especially on that second goal, the golazo from 35, 40 yards out from the same player that knocked us out in 2017. It's kind of poetic if you think about it. But I think Horvath deserves a chance here. This is really the last opportunity there is before Copa America. And honestly, with Matt Turner in goal at Copa America, I'm not too confident. Will remain to be seen if Horvath can improve on that. But he hasn't ever had a notable mistake for the U.S. And he does have that one moment against Mexico that I'll just say right now, that moment against Mexico is bigger than anything Matt Turner's done in his career. So I'd start Ethan Horvath here. I know that's going to be unpopular. The fullbacks, pretty straightforward. Jedi Robinson on the left has to be. He's been probably our best and most consistent player in Europe this season. Pulisic and McKennie have a shot for that as well, but he's been immense. One of the best left backs in the Premier League and in the world this season. Alongside Joe Scally on the right. Dest is suspended for this game. He's in the camp for the final or third place game, depending on the result. But Scally has to start here. The only other option would be Tim Weah, maybe dropping back to right back, but I don't think that really makes sense. It's going to be Scally. Pretty easy selection there. For center backs, we'll start with the obvious one. Chris Richards has to be there. He's our best center back far and away. Best form. He's playing at a good level in the Premier League for Crystal Palace, and he's just doing everything right at the moment. So he has to start. And I think a lot of people would start Tim Ream here. I do think Tim Ream is still our second best center back, but I think due to the opponent, the pace that Jamaica have up top, Tim Ream's only really bad quality is he is quite slow. It really doesn't matter at times because Jedi can recover for him, but I think against this particular opponent, we need to start someone faster, younger, and that's why I'm going with Mark McKenzie, probably our fastest center back in this pool. He was only called up due to the injury to CCV that doesn't look to be that serious. Who knows if Mark McKenzie will even be at Copa America, but he's another one that really needs to give out a good performance. To even have a spot at that roster. And this is his last opportunity, like I said, for Horvath. And I think he fits this match better than Ream. And he can save Ream for the final, where his calm head and experience would probably be beneficial against Mexico if they are to make it there, as well as us. In the midfield, I'm going to go for a double pivot kind of sorts of Johnny Cardoso and Weston McKennie. Johnny sitting back as a 6 and McKennie playing as an 8. I think this is Johnny's last chance as well to just prove that he needs a starting spot at Copa America. Tyler Adams is finally coming back from injury. He's in the camp. He's going to play 45 minutes in this camp at some time. Not good news, to be honest. I wish he was just here to support the boys. I don't think he should be rushed back into action, but Tyler, he's always going to want to play. He tried to rush himself back too early for Bournemouth earlier this season. It came back to bite him. Hopefully the same thing doesn't happen here, but Johnny should get the majority of the minutes, and it's up to him to prove that he belongs. He's had a great season at Real Betis, and I think the form can translate to the national team. He just hasn't really had an extended opportunity yet. McKennie speaks for himself. He's honestly, him and Pulisic and Jedi, they're the first names on the team sheet. You can't drop them if they're healthy, no matter what kind of form they're in. And luckily for us, McKennie's in the form of his life at Juventus. At the 10, partnering them in midfield, it's going to be Gio Reyna. I think he really needs this camp to be a showcase for him. Greg said it actually the first time he's been supportive of Gio, so props to him. He said he wants to showcase Gio to Nottingham Forest because he hasn't been getting many minutes. Really show the world what he can do, his talent. It's going to be a big summer transfer window for him as well, whether he wants to stay at Dortmund with potentially a new coach, depending on how they do. Honestly, with the Champions League result, I don't think Terzic will get fired, so it'll be interesting to see there. He could probably look for a move, and he needs minutes, and he needs to be proved that he's still a very good player that we know he is before getting that transfer move in the summer. So he needs to play here. I know he's been injured, he's out of form, but he has to start. He's our best player. The difference between having him on and off the pitch is night and day. We saw against Germany. First half, we were very competitive with them, creating chances. Gio was at the middle of everything, him and Pulisic. He comes off at halftime. In the second half, they beat us handily. We don't create anything. So Gio has to be there, even in a game against an opponent like Jamaica, who don't have the strongest of defenses. For the wingers, I'm going to go with another unorthodox selection that maybe isn't the most popular. I'm going to start Christian Pulisic, obviously, but instead of having him on the left, as usual, I'm going to put him on the right. He's been there all season at AC Milan. He's proved that although it's not his preferred side, he can still put in great performances in that position, and especially against Jamaica, who are without their starting left back, Amari Bell. I think he could work wonders on that side. And I mentioned earlier with Matt Turner, we need to start punishing some of these players who are out of form, not playing. For Reyna, it's a different situation because of his form or his quality and how he is for the U.S. For Tim Weah, I don't think he's as safe, honestly. I think he's a bit lucky that we don't have many options on the wing. And I think he's been playing out of position at Juve. He's been playing scared. He doesn't take on defenders, which as a winger is supposed to be what he's there to do. He just passes it sideways or backwards, maintains possession, which is good at times, but as someone who's supposed to be a winger for the national team, he needs to have more confidence, and I think he might need a bit of a reality check getting dropped here. And on the left, I'm going to go for a player who wasn't even called into the initial camp. It's going to be Haji Wright. He showed against Wolves in the FA Cup quarterfinal. He's in great form, providing clutch moments as well. One of the best moments in Coventry's club history, honestly. That late goal in the 100th minute to send them to Wembley. And I think he deserves a chance here. I think we don't really have any other wingers in the roster besides Weah, who I do think should be dropped. Tillman was listed as one, but realistically, he's a backup to Gio. He should be in the 10, not on the wing. He showed that against Trinidad and Tobago in the first leg, and he showed that for against Dortmund in the Champions League in their second leg. He shouldn't be on the wing. He should be in the midfield. So it opens up perfectly for Haji Wright to start here. And I think, again, for him, he wasn't included in the initial roster. This is the final chance. Like I mentioned so many times for other players, this is his chance to prove that he deserves to be in the roster for Copa America. He needs to play significant minutes in order to prove that. So why not test him out here in a very low-risk, low-reward game? If we don't win, it's a good reality check for Greg and the team to show that something needs to change before the summer. If we do win, okay, cool. We go on to the final, maybe win Nations League again. We've won it every single time since it began, so it doesn't really mean too much, to be completely honest. In CONCACAF, it's a very weak region. And then up top, I'm going to start Balogun. He doesn't really suit Greg's system at all, but the one thing he has going for him is he has the quality, and he has been preferred to Pepe since he did join the national team. And with Reyna and McKennie in the midfield, they can play him. They have the ability to play him those through balls that he's so good at running onto. So I think he could create some chances. We've already seen Balogun and Reyna link up a lot since Balogun did commit to the USMNT. So I'd start him, and you have Pepe off the bench as a super sub, which he's proven for club and country he's great at doing.
Yeah, some interesting choices there. And again, just to reiterate, this is our ideal 11. We're not predicting what we think will happen. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure he would have put Horvath there. Although it would be nice if Greg thought of something outside the box. Give him a little bit of credit. He has had a lot better rosters recently. And here I go into my starting 11. On the back four, I actually completely agree. I think it's pretty standard there. Scally has to come in for Dest, and Dest steps right back in as soon as we get to that final, hopefully. I would start McKenzie because he's a lot faster, so I think that it's a good opportunity for him. You mentioned it's low risk. I do think it's low risk. I think that McKenzie should be able to handle the attackers for Jamaica, even though they're pretty good. I think that he'll have enough. He has a lot of pace too, and also helps free up a little bit Jedi on the wing, since Greg loves to play opening up the plate with the wing with the left back and right back, the fullbacks pushing forward. Now on the midfield, I agree, it has to be Johnny and McKennie. If there was ever a time for Johnny to start, it has to be now. He's been in the best form of his life. Great opportunity for him to be a starter, and I hope that he plays well, so we know that we're not so dependent on Tyler having to rush himself back in. It has to be those two in a double pivot sort. And then moving on forward, I'm going to say in the 10th position, I'm going to pick two players. This is maybe cheating, but I don't foresee Gio playing the full 90. I hope he doesn't, because the high stakes game really is in the final. And I don't think that it's ideal to push Gio to play a full 90 here. I expect him to play only one half. He did just come back from injury. I would pick him to start then because I think he will do that. But on the second half, it's going to be Tillman. So since it's going to be a half game for both of them, that's what I'm going with. On the right wing, I would put Haji right. Actually, I think that it's a good opportunity for him to really play and do well right here. I think that he has been in the best form of his life. If there was ever a moment for him to start, also would be on this one. I wouldn't pick him to start in the final, but I think he should be doing relatively well against this Jamaica side. I don't think that Weah gets any sort of criticism for the season he's had. You mentioned it, he's been really passive. Allegri has been really vocal about the way that Weah felt the jersey and felt the pressure of playing for a big club. And although his form for the national side has been pretty well, what justifies him starting over Haji this season, especially at this point? I would actually argue that Weah would be behind Aronson if I was to pick, and I foresee a sub in the second half, and I'll pick Aronson. I think that he puts more work rate in, not only work rate, but technically should be a lot more confident after the weekend he had. And on the left wing, I'll start Pulley. I agree with you. It'd be nice to have him on the right since he has been playing there the whole season. But I ultimately think that this is what Greg goes with, and I'm fine with this as well, him on the left. Now, up top is the most controversial pick. I would pick Pepe. I know that Balogun probably suits playing and would feed off and possibly maximize his strengths with Gio and McKennie, but I don't think that Greg Bowl will really allow that. I think that there's nothing really, in my opinion, to justify Balogun over Pepe at this moment. Pepe, although he has very limited minutes, has had a better season in my opinion. I would struggle with imagining that any arguments that Balogun has had a better season so far. And ultimately, even though Greg's going to go for Balogun, this is what I would go for. So now you can see both of our lineups there on the screen. These are the guys that we think are good enough and the best options for this game. Keep in mind, this is our personal opinion only, not really previewing what Greg will do. Leave in the comments down below who you think is going to start and play, and who would you start, and what is your prediction for the game, which is the next point in the video. Scoreline prediction, Braden.
Yeah, I think, like I had mentioned, this game is going to be easier than it initially should have been. Leon Bailey has been suspended by Jamaica due to breaking some rules in the last camp. Not a great decision. I know some standards have to be set, but he's probably the best player in CONCACAF this season. So not having him is going to be a huge loss. Jamari Gray and I believe Shamar Nicholson as well are both suspended for the USA game. I know Jamari Gray is for sure. Nicholson might be as well. I'm not 100% confident on that. And in the back, like I mentioned, their starting left back, Amari Bell from Luton Town, is out injured. And their best defender in general, Ethan Pinnock from Brentford, is also out injured. So they're looking very, very vulnerable in the back and lacking some options up top. It's going to be easier, honestly, easier than I would have liked it to be. I would have liked to play a full-strength Jamaica because it's a challenge. This Jamaica isn't really as much of a challenge as we need to face before the summer. But I'm going to go with a simple 3-1. I think Jamaica always have the quality to score a goal, especially with Mikel Antonio up top. He's in form. Bobby Decker-Dova-Reid playing in a free role in the midfield is so good. Playing for Fulham as well, Jedi's teammate. You've got Joel Latabotier and Casey Palmer, who are Haji Wright's teammates at club level as well. We've got some teammates playing against each other in this matchup potentially, which could be an interesting storyline. But I think due to the lack of quality that Jamaica have, due to their injuries and suspensions, I think it should be pretty straightforward for the U.S. I think we'll get off to a pretty quick start. First 10-15 minutes, probably score a goal, look like it's going to be a great game for us, and then we'll stall as we always do. We saw it against Trinidad and Tobago in the first leg. It was 0-0 for way too long. I do think we'll get off to a quick start, score a goal, but I think Jamaica will come back, score off a counter-attack, just quick fire like they usually do, make it 1-1. Going to be 1-1 for a while. Around the 70th minute, we'll bring on the subs, Pepe and Aronson. As always, they'll change the game like they always do, and we'll score another 2 quick goals at the end, like usual, padding the scoreline a little bit. Maybe not justified, who knows, but I think we will control the game for the most part, have possession. Jamaica will mainly look to hit us on the counterattack, especially if Tim Ream is starting and they can take advantage of his lack of pace. But I'm going to ultimately go with the 3-1 win for the U.S.
If all that happens exactly as you said, you will look like a genius, Braden. Hopefully it does. I think that there's a high probability that it does, although I would like a way easier game, which is what I'm predicting. A 2-0 win, kind of underwhelming. Again, I'm so frustrated that we're not going to be facing the real Jamaica with their biggest players. I think that Pinnock might be the biggest absence, in my opinion, for a game like this. But yeah, I go for a 2-0 win. Underwhelming game. If I have to predict the whole timeline of the game, I think we'll score in the first 10 minutes, as you said, and then we'll score in the last 10 minutes. I think that's basically what I can expect from this team. We're going to touch base really quickly on who we think we're going to face in the final if we reach that. I'm not going to go into too much depth. That will be left for the preview on that game, which will be the Nations League final over the weekend. But who do you think we face on that day? Mexico, or can Panama pull an upset?
This is a very intriguing game for me because Mexico, I would argue, shouldn't even be here. I don't think they should have beat Honduras. They got a little bit of help from CONCACAF, as they usually do, and as the U.S. usually does as well. We're the money makers in the region. It's the reality of the situation. CONCACAF always wants a U.S. versus Mexico final, whether it's in the Gold Cup or in the CONCACAF Nations League, whatever the competition is. The game, it sells tickets. It makes money for both teams and for CONCACAF. But I am actually going to go with Panama here. I think there's something about this team. They have an energy that I haven't really seen in them for a long time before. And I don't know. I think an upset's brewing. I don't think Mexico have been that great. Panama have been in top form. On paper, we all know Mexico's quality is a lot better than Panama, but Coco Carrasquilla is the X factor in this game. He's so good, unlocks so many things for Panama in the midfield. I think Mexico could really use a player of his quality, to be completely honest, and I think he could fit into probably any team in the region. Maybe not the U.S., but honestly, I think there's a spot at least on the bench for him there. They've got Edgar Barcenas as well and Ismael Diaz, who are usually the danger men, scoring the goals for them, as well as Carrasquilla occasionally. The defense isn't looking great. That's the one thing that I think Mexico can look to exploit. They do have Irving Lozano, who's been one of their best players for a while now, and 2 dangerous strikers, Santi Jimenez, who's been performing at club level, and Henry Martin, who's been performing for the national team. So I think they have a lot of options. Edson Alvarez in the midfield as well is a really good player for West Ham this season. I think he's going to try to combat Carrasquilla. That midfield duel is going to be one to watch. I think that's going to be a great duel between probably the 2 best players in this matchup. But ultimately, I don't know what it is. I think there's just a vibe around Panama that they can really do something special, shock some people. And if they do make it to the final, I don't think we can take them lightly because I think they're capable of getting anybody. If it is Mexico, we know what they bring. It's just another straightforward derby.
Yeah, I think it'd be so nice to see something different for once. And I agree with you. I think there is a chance, although I'm not too hopeful. I think that Mexico will get it to the final. And I mentioned Santi Jimenez, and I don't know why this thought came to my mind, but the most notable moment he has for Mexico is scoring that field goal. But I'll leave on the comments below, who's the best penalty taker, Santi Jimenez or Balogun? I think that's a good debate right there. But enough of that. That's the video. I think that we will face Mexico in the final. Braden's going for Panama. I hope that Panama somehow pulls it through, but it's always nice to watch a U.S.-Mexico final, although you take for what you will with what this really means with Nations League. But that was it for this video. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends if you can. Leave a comment below your score predictions, lineups, and what you thought of the video as well. We're always accepting any constructive criticism or roasting as well. See you next time.